Hello, Happy New Year, everyone.
Hey,
Happy New Year. Hey.
2023, wild ride. Let's do
So
this.
I
weird.
know. It's so weird. How's your holiday? Did you have a good break?
Of course, nothing like having a few relaxing days off to energize me and hopefully my team for what should be a wild 2023.
Yep.
Amazing.
Absolutely amazing. Feeling refreshed. Ready to conquer the new year.
Your skin's shiny, Will, looking good.
Always.
Arnar. Well, thank you so much to everyone joining us live and watching this recording today in the new year. My name is Ashley Pireda, and I am one of the co-hosts here on Brand Experience live LinkedIn podcast, where we explore the brands, individuals, and opportunities that are driving unrivaled brand experiences for their candidates, employees, prospects, and buyers. And as usual, I'm joined by my absolutely incredible co-host, Lagala Moink.
Well, hello everyone and Happy New Year. Hopefully it's going to be amazing. 2023. Woohoo! Good energy.
We made it.
We made it, yes. And I'm so happy to say that we have this is like unusual repeat guest,
Yeah.
Will Davidson here from Growth. And now he's joined by a partner, Chris Nault, as well. Well, welcome, Chris. Obviously, Will as well. Welcome. So happy to have you both here.
Yeah, thanks for
So
bringing me
happy.
in.
It sounds like a dance party now,
I love that.
Great to be back.
Exactly.
Cue the music.
Yeah, exactly. Tune on the music. So hopefully you had a great, obviously, Christmas holidays, and really, obviously, if people don't know, obviously, Will and Chris yet, so I give over to you to do a little intro about yourself and about growth marketing, and we take from there.
All right. Well, my name's Chris. I'm the founder at Growth. Will has been a longtime friend and is our sales director. We help companies grow. We empower and educate our customers so they can grow their own way, which sounds fluffy, but it's really important that we give the people that we work with that chance to grow.
Yes.
Especially the way that we operate. Revenue growth is not easy. It requires trust and takes time.
Yes.
It does.
Yes.
It does. And then, of course, we have Will, who
I know.
has been with us before, and he's my 2+ year friend now,
Yeah.
stalking me from company to company. I'm kidding.
Hey, that's part of my sales toolbox. But but thanks for having me back. As Chris mentioned, I'm the sales director here at Growth. I've known Chris for, I don't want to say 20 years quite yet. We'll say 15 years, and we've been friends for quite some time. And Chris gave me the opportunity to come on board and work with him to build a sales arm here at Growth as we kind of move up market and work with bigger B2B companies. And it's been a heck of a ride. And like I always say, we're only getting started. And I'm excited for 2023 and what's in store. So thanks for having me on board again.
I'm
Sounds
so happy to see, like I've known you for a couple of years now, and just what I have seen, and I stalked your LinkedIn for a while before we ever connected, but following you for a little over 2.5 years now, and seeing the growth of Growth, and seeing where you all have come in terms of team size and business size and really cool things like HubSpot partnership. I think that when I met you, you guys were at gold, and then you hit platinum last year, and now you're officially diamond level or platinum level. What is it?
Diamond.
No, we're diamond.
Diamond.
Absolutely. That's
Oh my
a big
gosh.
deal.
So
Yeah, we're excited.
amazing.
I know. I feel like we should need sparklers and like a sign.
Right?
You know,
We
Exactly.
totally should have had.
Live
We've
it
had
up
special things for Christmas. We
Yeah.
should have.
Yes.
had
I
that.
know, needed that.
I do have some of the old like platinum stuff in our storage area from last year when we celebrated.
We'll get a face cut out of Will, I think. Nice brave style.
Yes.
Yeah, but Ashley, I appreciate you bringing that up because I mean it's we met 2.5 years ago when I was very green, as we call it here at Growth.
Yeah.
With like probably my over exorbitant like spammy LinkedIn messages, emails, and things like that. And
No, not for me. Your
I
videos,
personalize yours.
your videos were incredible. That's what caught me right away.
Yeah.
We've definitely gotten a lot of feedback about our willingness to share kind of behind the curtain about
Your
who we
willingness.
are. Your willingness. Growth comes from a B2C background. So I got the chance to work for 15 years with Jack Daniels and Red Bull and Hard Rock
Wow.
Cafe. And so big in your face brands. And then when we made the transition to B2B, I kind of carried some of that energy with me. And I think that's one of the big reasons that we've differentiated ourselves in the marketplace.
I love that. I think that's really interesting. I didn't know that. I always, right, as a brand and marketing professional myself, I always find it different, like it really interesting going from B to C or D to C into B to B or vice versa. And I've experienced that myself as well. And what I've always done is just brought what I knew worked, regardless of if it's B to B or B to C or D to C. Just do what works because it's people to people at the end of it, and that's
the
what's
magic
important.
phrase that got what we do like made sense to kind of the stuffier traditional type companies. That phrase that B2B is looking more B2C, and all that means is like that you're taking the effort to make high quality content, that you're reaching out and personally engaging, especially in the changes that we've had in the last year, being able to go from physical handshake to virtual handshake.
Yes,
that's all foundational when you're marketing directly to consumers to sell, a can of liquid or a hotel room. And so to be able to bring that over here was natural for us.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
So besides obviously a beautiful diamond title now, what are the plans for Growth Company in 2023?
Well, we're going to be transitioning from growth marketing firm to a kind of a growth operations namesake. My journey as an agency owner has been nearly 20 years, and I'm really excited now. I feel confident in the conversation around growth operations, which I'm starting to champion a lot on LinkedIn, and it's getting a lot of really positive traction. And the reality that companies that are going through their growth phases and just looking to grow actual net new logo revenue, the system and the approach to do that requires a few very specific things. You need to have revenue operations. And since no one's comfortable defining what RevOps is, I'm happy to do it now. And it's simply setting up the systems so you can track key metrics. That's it. It's a set it one time. And that's why the downfall of RevOps is it doesn't require any action. So set those systems up, and then you need sales ops. And so that's the movement of those metrics up and down, increasing meetings booked, etc. Marketing ops, which is the adjusting of ads and outreach. And then you have your website ops, and websites should be treated like a product and should be updated regularly and should be a major part of your focus when you're trying to grow your business. And even as a small business 10 years ago, I was having to update my website all the time and freshening up my branding every couple of years because trends change. So
they do.
That's like a big thing for me is, hey, you just have to do it, which is one of the great reasons being a HubSpot partner and using their HubSpot CMS platform, it really does make that adjustment so much easier. So you do need to kind of bite the bullet to get off of WordPress or whatever archaic site you're using now. But once you make that investment, the ongoing cost of keeping your website up to date and modern is drastically reduced. And going back to our empower and educate mission, we teach you how to do that. We give you the resources to onboard employees. You're not stuck hiring growth for every facet of this, but the methodology is sound, and the methodology is growth operations or growth ops.
Yeah.
I love that. That's the reason why, right, with Ivory Gold, like that is a very specific reason when we launched Ivory Gold, we stuck to speaking about revenue growth because we did not want to be known as a brand agency. We did not want to be known as a marketing agency. We don't want to be known as an agency, period. But we are focused on long-term revenue growth by focusing on proper brand experience for, right, those 4 areas that we talk about all the time. The people that you're interacting with is because revenue is not just some like linear thing. And it's not just some like one thing or another with marketing versus sales or whatever you want to talk
100%.
about. It is all encompassing. And that is exactly why we decided, okay, it's Ivory Gold, right? We are a consultancy that focuses on what's doing best for the businesses that we work with based on their revenue goals and what they need. And I love that you guys also do that. And I've experienced that as a client with you all.
Thank you. I think the agency is a client will tell you to jump and you have to say how high. And I think when you change into the consulting role, which requires experience and tenure and proof of concept, once you switch into that consultant role, you tell them how to jump and how high. It's a different experience, but requires trust. And
it does.
Yes.
It does. And that trust comes with being able to quantify your past results and being able to show, right, case studies and testimonials and speak to their problems. And that specifically comes with experience. And what you guys are focusing on right now, and you started last year in 2022, really shifting the agency lifestyle of, like we do inbound and websites and this and that. And now something really great that you've chosen to focus on in 2023 ongoing is ABM, which I am so happy that you guys are educating on that and doing it the right way. And that's what we really want to talk about today is, what is ABM? What is the difference between ABM and inbound? How do you know if, you as a business owner or a business, if this is the right solution for your business and the cost and the tech stack? And we're going to jump into all of those things today because I know I've found in conversations with my clients or prospects or even my employers in the past, I've had arguments of like, no, you don't know, you don't genuinely know what ABM is. And it's not the best fit for our business model because you're not focused on this type of buyer or this type of experience. And so for me, I was so excited when Will told me this was going to be a really big focus for you guys.
Thank you. Well, I definitely spent a lot of time. There's some things that happened in the universe that allowed for this to become our focus. And so one of them was once the COVID years and the government money started running out, organizations had to become a little bit more tight and narrow. And that happened, kind of second half of 2022. The first half of 2022, there's technologies like Zoom Info and Apollo.io that offer up customer data or potential lead data. But there was a little bit of policy change from a government level that allowed organizations like mine to use that data in a way that's not spammy. And so once those pieces started to fall in place, I kind of took a little step back from growth and started doing some research. I vetted all the softwares that we use. I vetted the processes. I worked with Jesse on our team to heavily document it. And since I knew that this was, a branch from the tree that I've grown of experience, that I wanted to share this knowledge. So I made it a priority for growth to document everything we do and just make that information public. So, and there's a reason. ABM is a lot of tedious work. So there's just no way around that, unfortunately. And I do know that most companies, once you hit a certain point, don't want to do that tedious work. So for those that are on the come up, use what we've learned and grow. For those that want to pay for the tedious work to be done, my name's Chris. My phone number is no. That's what it's all about, right? Is to educate.
That's my job.
Yeah. Will's number is 321-554. So that's our story of how we got into ABM. Technology policies changed, and the need became more obvious. And it's a natural extension. Inbound is great. In a perfect world, we could build a website, make sure that Google can read it through some basic SEO structure. And people are just like, oh, I need Chris Nault, a growth marketing firm right now. Bam, they call, we book them. And then is great. But unfortunately, that is not sustainable. And if your company is growing and you need to fuel that machine, you have to find revenue. And some people might not even know what you do exists. So they wouldn't even know to Google you. So you need to start with that kind of awareness phase. And by identifying a very specific customer in a very specific industry. There's some other factors. You have the ability to say, hi, I'm Will from Growth, and we do ABM, and here's why you're a fit. If you haven't considered it already, give me a call if you want.
So how is it different now? Like, obviously companies would say to you, probably argument back would be like, we are very specific when we actually do B2B marketing, obviously, and we target them. How would you go back and saying, like ABM is so much more different from B2B? I think this is where people still get confused, saying, I'm very specific when I target in my general, obviously B2B,
Great.
So,
well,
but ABM is.
That's good.
Well, the first thing I would say is let's talk about what specific means to you. So
They're
first
saying,
is
top 100 companies. These are my top 100 companies I want to go after. So how can you tell me that these are not my ABM? I'm not doing ABM at the moment. This top 100.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I've heard that a lot.
right.
That's a confusion where it happens. So
I know Chris is. Chris has got something coming right now.
I got that covered. So one is this like a emotional wish list? Like I would love for Google to hire me. So they're on my top 100. Rivian, shout out EV. Would love for them to hire me, but are they really like the same as the other 99 companies on the list?
Yes.
Almost always when I see this 100 list from a organization, it's just like make believe. The way you make your specific list needs to be consistent messaging. So for growth, we know that if you're over $50 million a year, you're in manufacturing and you're in the United States and or Canada, that what you sell is $15,000 or more. So you have typically like an expensive pump or something.
Mm-hmm.
The service that we offer makes sense for you because we A, have proof of concept, and B, the structure and cost around an ABM program. You're looking at, parts and labor, $250,000 a year. So you need to have the revenue potential, real potential to make it worth it to hire us. If you don't, we have a lot of free resources. So you have this 100 list. Are they all in the same industry? Company size, revenue size, employee size, and then that's the company list. But who at that company are you having the most success talking to?
Yes.
Is it a sales director? Is it a marketing director? If you're selling mechanical related things, is it the safety
procurement?
Procurement. Yeah, I mean, really, so that's the second layer. You have the companies. Now you need to find who at those companies are you most effective at selling to, and that changes the language inside of your outreach. Now, everything that we're talking about kind of sounds like we're talking about email outreach, which is great. A successful ABM plan is multi-channel. So we use the tools from Apollo.io to aggregate companies based off of those variables. Then we find contacts with specific job titles, and email outreach is one of the things we do. Mm-hmm. We also use Rollworks to import those company and contacts. So that way we run our ads only to those people rather than the more traditional method of starting on LinkedIn or Google ads. And then you're targeting by variables and taking this giant pool and trying to dwindle it down. Now you're putting messaging behind the email outreach. Mm-hmm. Great. The third thing that we love to do is add a layer once there's some engagement happening with Kixie. And so we can see once somebody's starting to highly engage with our ads or our emails. And so once somebody has opened or forwarded an email 5 times, their phone number gets kicked to our phone outreach platform, which we use Kixie. And so it's amazing. It helps call on the local number to them, which is plays a big factor. And then you just need to have somebody great behind the phone to say, hey, I see that you're looking at this. Why? Yes.
Exactly. I've done a few phone calls in my day, so it's cool. I mean, Kixie it has the robocalling capabilities, but also has like the SMS capabilities as well. So like Chris said, it's multi-channel, so you're hitting from all angles. So when there's 4 or 5 people of those organizations are having their water cooler talk, like, hey, did you get that email from Growth? Or did you hear about this? It's like, oh, okay, wow. So
that's a good point.
Yeah.
I think reach out to 3.5 people per company.
Yep. Modern day water cooler talk.
Yeah.
And I think the greatest opportunity in everything here, which every business should do at specific checkpoints for health, is revisit your ideal customer profile, right? You need to have lead scoring. You need to understand where you've been, where you are currently, and if it's on track to where you want to be. And in order to really get started with working with a business like Growth or any marketing or any type of outreach or selling, you have to understand who your ideal customer profile is. And that's something that we've talked about recently on several episodes, Lagla and I, because strategies change, the market changes. You have to maintain a healthy checkpoint with making sure that you're on point, but especially if you're going to be doing something so specific like ABM, you need to really understand where those individuals or companies within your top 100 list or whatever it may be, where they score, right? Are they high level? Are they the big fish and we need to go after smaller ones? Or what are the channels that we really need to find them on? And knowing that regardless of what your business is doing, what you're selling, how big or little you are, it is smartest to always be on multi-channel, y'all.
Yes.
Do not just focus on one solution for your business because your audience is in multiple places. You should start with the one where the majority of them are and grow from there, but it has to be multi-solution, multi-channel.
Yeah.
Agreed.
For me,
Yeah.
straight
go
away,
ahead.
like feeling like sales and marketing here need to be so aligned in order to work, because sales needs to identify all these key, obviously, the companies, obviously key people there, and then the marketing comes along. So this is such a important buy-in internally, really, isn't it, to kind of identify this process?
Yeah.
For me.
And honestly, I feel like all the growth secret sauce, because everything that we do, ABM with our clients, starts with sales and marketing alignment workshops where we go through those.
Oh,
key
that's
points.
fantastic.
That's
great.
where it all starts. So I don't think I shared that information. If I did,
You haven't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's a 90-minute workshop. We have Will's in that meeting. That's one of the meetings that I'll participate in. And the reason why is I have a skill where I can help break the ice. It's odd to me that organizations at any size, especially the larger ones, that marketing and sales aren't sharing the same room or virtual room together and having these conversations when their performance are directly. Marketing is not successful if sales doesn't win, and sales not successful if marketing is not doing their job. So why are they not speaking to each other?
It's a marriage. It's a team. That's the first thing that any business that I work with, whether I am employed full-time or they're a client, the first thing I do is I create that alignment. And I agree with that completely.
It's a superpower. Making a comfortable space, going back to the major functions of growth ops, that revenue operations is really important, and both sides need to understand what these metrics are and how they are and how you can make them go up or down. So being like, hey, if we need more sales, we need more meetings, that's only one KPI point. So, there's a great thing about hiring a RevOps company, but then you're left with like all the work.
Yes.
Like, thanks for chiming in. But
what do I do now?
Yeah, now what? Oh, we don't know. We're RevOps. We're not a marketing agency.
Basically, your job is like being kind of in the middle, the mediator, between sales and marketing, getting them talking to each other first. The leader's saying, "Come on, guys, you have a challenge first." But that's really good. It's super important because it's not only in ABM. It should be, like we said, in any other thing, any other business should be kind of working alongside, to communicate. But this still seems to be a problem, So.
And that requires, running effective meetings so people know that what a meeting is going to feel like and keep it consistent. You do need people in these leadership roles that have the ability to break down silos and answer hard questions. And it's not going to be a perfect system. It's all about progress over perfection. So you need to create that, again, safe space for people to make mistakes. My background is, yes, I did a lot of B2C stuff, but I was also captain of a few rugby teams. And so I use a lot of rugby terminology at Growth, which not all of us are rugby players at Growth. In fact, I'm the only one. But one of the important values that we've distilled is being able to pick the ball up and run with it And in rugby, when you have the ball, you get hit. It just happens.
Yeah.
So creating an environment where the rest of the team is there to support you. For the rugby players out there know exactly what rucking is. That's exactly the type of mentality that we have at Growth. Is we want to instill people to pick that ball up, and the knowledge that when you do that, at some point you're going to get hit and that ball is going to go down.
Yeah.
And so we're there to support you for
it's
that.
inevitable. And that's great. And Will, how we talked before and with all of us, and I've experienced in the past, as far as ABM is concerned, that a lot of my past employers and past clients, and I'm sure going forward, this isn't going to change for a while. One of the first things that they say to me is, "Oh, do you have any experience with ABM? We need to do that." And they've just heard this ABM phrase, right? They understand the results, but they don't really truly understand what it is, the work it takes, the cost that it is, if they're the right fit. Right. They don't understand the true definition of ABM. Well, when you're speaking to prospects about ABM, what are the conversations that you're having? How do you help them understand whether or not they are actually the right fit to be having a conversation with you?
I mean, obviously, it starts with like their ideal customer profile. It goes back to what we were talking about. It's like, who are you speaking with? Who are you trying to put your products or service in front of? What do those companies look like? And in a lot of the conversations, it's so broad, So our goal is kind of bring that in, It's like, so if you're talking, if you're talking to companies across the spectrum of startup to enterprise billion-dollar companies and talking to every single employee, it might not be the right fit, or we can kind of leverage our consultancy and kind of bring that in, because, if people are going after like that spray and pray methodology that a lot of people are doing, that's not the right fit.
Right.
So that's something, but going into, like you said, it's like salespeople are like, we want ABM. My experience with that, and like Chris said, it's like, there's tedious. It's not easy. There's a lot of work. And going back, and I wanted to share this earlier, 2 years ago when Chris and I were doing these moving up market boot camps with Dave Winehouse and the entire HubSpot, we're like, we're going to go after these companies. Boom. And then like a month later, it's like, what's going on? It's not working, because it's like, I'm calling that person and that person. It's like, using personal experience. It's like, there's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a lot of multi-channel work that needs to get done. Yeah, we can build this system out for you and you can execute it if you have the bandwidth and you think you can do it, or let us do it for you. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah. The great thing is that none of the things that we do is rocket science.
Right.
Straight up, like not rocket science. It's just a lot of hard, tedious, consistent work and reporting. Now, obviously, we're HubSpot partners, and a big part of the HubSpot software is the assumption is that the contacts that are in your database have been grown, and they know you, and they gave you permission to be in your database. To generate demand, you need to go from what happens before until they're that gold coin of trust, and that's where this demand gen ABM play is really reaching. So we keep everybody pre-permission off of the HubSpot ecosystem, and that requires a fun custom report to be built and a lot of transparency. As you mentioned, the importance of creating a high quality brand is super valuable. Making sure that I completely forgot to mention our LinkedIn outreach is a big part of our ABM play. So
yes,
you can't just start reaching out on LinkedIn unless you have a profile that's active, right? And then you're like, people are we all know how to use the internet. So we're going to, a message. Who are you? Oh, you're a robot from another country. Fantastic. Obviously, I'm going to spam block you. So having a curated LinkedIn profile is good for many reasons, but it's also a huge value add in the ABM process.
Yeah.
So
that's good to know. And, we talk about personal brand and company brand on LinkedIn all of the time and the importance of it for a multitude of reasons. But the first thing is trust, right? If someone looks at it and it's filled out and it is directed towards specific keywords that you want them to see and relate to you and your experience, ensuring that it's properly optimized, just them looking at that alone that immediately helps them to trust you, that you're a person, that you know how to communicate, that you can at least have a conversation to help them get what they need. And that's really what anyone wants, right? Whether we're talking about B2B or B2C, it is people to people conversations, and people want to work with other people that they can trust and communicate with in order to get what they need.
Yeah, that's 100% right. I know that there's a lot of people, there's trepidation in being that person online. And we have people at Growth, Katrina, who won't participate in posting and sharing information online. It's such a disappointment because she's such a value. Like she's just such
she's
a
amazing.
I know she would be a rock star if she did it, but it's okay.
She's
For salespeople,
she's so good at communicating processes, and this is what we're gonna do. And she's so calm and just read me a bedtime story and tell me how to fall asleep.
Amen.
She's amazing.
Read me a bedtime HubSpot story. There you go.
On the first day of Christmas.
Yeah.
Or
Don't you a workflow?
Yeah.
But thankfully, she's not in the outreach portion. So for salespeople, I think it's just an inevitable reality. And that LinkedIn is a part of the sales process now. And you do need to share your experience.
Yes.
Will everybody's different. So Will's approach is, hey, here's what Growth is doing. Let us know if you're interested. I do a lot of shameless plugging on my own LinkedIn, but I'm a B2C marketer, and I learned the internet through Instagram. So that's everybody curates it a little differently, and that helps attract the type of audience that you're looking for.
And do you have to often say no to the potential, obviously, people who want to work with you? You have to say, unfortunately, obviously, at the moment, you don't fit the category. Do you have to say no very often to potential clients?
We're very fortunate that most of our ABM clients find us through our use of ABM to find them.
Practice what you preach.
Right. So they're like, well, how did you find me? And we can pull up the initial spreadsheet, the contact list, and roll them back to show them exactly how the process works in real time. So
amazing.
We don't have to say no often because we found them based off of, we know that this can be a successful program. The hardest part, I think, is managing expectations and letting them know that you can't go from not having these processes to poof, now all of a sudden people are calling you. So we literally build in, and this is a hard part to hop through in our first meeting, that you should have an expectation of zero movement in your first month.
Okay. Wow.
Zero. Now,
anything, with almost everything as far as marketing is concerned, because especially if you're thinking about the first month is hoping that people even interact with something in the first place, or that you connected everything right, or that the process is okay. And it's literally praying that everything is going to work.
And you should be making a lot of micro adjustments. We do 5-week basically breaks where we don't add any new people to the outreach. We do a deep dive conversation into what we've been doing and then make suggestions. But if we were to make those changes every week, we would never have a system survive long enough to use the scientific method on, right? RevOps. So that's the reality. Now, the great thing is one of our benefits when we are talking to a customer is we try to set the bar as low as possible as far as expectations. So we talk about 2.5% engagement rate, and that's a lot less than what we get with our ABM outreach. But that way you can work numbers and potential pipeline generation that are based off of reasonable expectations. And then, that gives you the ability to look like an absolute rock star when you blow it out of the water for them.
Well, that's smart anyway. I do the same when I'm creating any type of strategy with a client. Is, they're like, oh, well, best case scenario, I want to make, if it's an individual, I want to make 100,000 this year. Okay. So we're going to set the bar a lot lower than that, because we're going from zero to you wanting to make this from nothing. Let's be a little bit more realistic with ourselves. And is it possible? Yes. Can we do it? Probably. But I'm not going to say, I'm going to guarantee you this. And anyone that guarantees you something, y'all, just run. Don't
There's a million variables.
Work with them.
Yeah, there's a million variables, and most of them are on you or the other party.
Yes. No, that's
not everybody's going to do the work. That's kind of our hook. You don't want to do the work. It's not rocket science. We'll tell you how to do it, but just
Yeah, it's something I've kind of taken from Chris, especially this year or last year, especially, was transparency is something we preach, but like setting reasonable expectations up front. Because in the sales process, if you don't set those expectations up front, that sales process is just going to churn and it's not going to be a positive outcome. And a lot of people, when you set those, like you said, don't expect anything month one. A lot of, 5 years ago, they would have hung up on you immediately. Like, okay, I'm next. Now they're like, wow, they actually are being honest and probably show that they actually care, being a lot more honest up front. So I think that's, a big part of the equation right there is setting those reasonable expectations and then executing on those. So
that's right.
What are, speaking of expectations, because there's many businesses, clients that think, okay, I'm hiring someone to do everything for me. So here's everything, like, go at it. Good luck. That's not reality. There has to be involvement all the way through from a representative or a committee of people at an organization, depending on what the size and what the goals are. What are those expectations that you all do set even before signing on a new client in terms of you have to be involved to this extent for ABM to work properly and get the results that you want? What does that look like when you're getting ready to onboard?
Well, one thing that we do, and I think this might be a little different than most, is we do describe this as a white glove experience. So, meaning that we do all the lift. We have a full, real team. We're not a bunch of random contractors. So, the expectation is that you and your sales director, the decision makers, will be at the sales and marketing alignment, and it's going to be a long meeting. And you may think you know things, and the reason I'm involved in this meeting is I typically challenge some of the things that you think you know, because you may be not being honest with the reality. So that could be like, how many companies fit this niche that you think that you're in?
Yeah.
Who the right person at the company to reach out to would be. So that's part's really important. It's 90 minutes, sometimes 2 hours. You got to be there. After that, there's asset handoff. You register all your own softwares. We onboard all those for you. And then we do asset approvals. And so that's the copy for the emails, the copy for LinkedIn, the graphics for your ads, your landing pages. And we've got like a V1, V2. And then we go to work. We handle the LinkedIn outreach for you. We do the email engagement for you. And then the next time we meet, you get a weekly update. You approve all of our contact list. And every week you get an email from your account manager. That's here's how many we've reached out to, if there's any positive engagement. And then one really unique thing that we do is the opportunity handoff. So we set up a Slack channel with all of your important team members in there, specifically the ones that we're representing as you on LinkedIn and through your emails. And when a conversation happens, we say, here's the person, here's the conversation, here's everything we've said, here's the pages that they've clicked on. And so that way it feels very natural for our client to have this conversation and they're completely caught up. It's not just some random name, phone number company with no background story. All these tie in just from my experience from B2C and just knowing how valuable that information is. And I am not a fan of arbitrary processes. I love to break things in a way that makes them more productive. And so our ABM is different because I didn't learn this from anybody. This is like a custom build.
Yeah.
My question is, what is then typical sort of average journey for the client, obviously, when you kind of hand it over, when you start to work with them, and then you kind of have this very healthy prospect to hand over, or like the list of contacts. So what would be, say, average process time?
Well, so the first quarter, we only will work with 2 salespeople from your team. Okay. And we start with minimum budgets and we basically cap it. So that way we don't break the system by trying to force things. After the first quarter shows signs of success, then we're willing to sign a 1-year contract and you can add additional salespeople at like $3,500 a month. So we get the kinks worked out. You also need people that we know are going to communicate well. So like that testing group, just like if you were onboarding HubSpot, right? Or any other software, there's people that are excited about
only
change.
HubSpot exists.
That's right.
There's nothing else.
For our platform, it does require a certain software stack, and we're non-negotiable on that
Okay.
because we want to be the best at what we do.
And that was Apollo, Rollworks, Kixie, and then LinkedIn, of course,
Sales
plus
Navigator, HubSpot Sales Pro, Marketing Pro.
Awesome.
Oh,
Yep. So it's about, I want to say, total program cost for the year is about $250,000 with 2 salespeople, maybe $202,000 might be the actual number.
And this is important. And I know this is the minimum average. And I've done ABM presentations before for potential clients, and they were just utter sticker shock, which went back to, okay, let's actually educate you on what ABM is. And truly, it's to work with your ideal clients, right? The ones that your dream, who is going to be with you long term, because this is a long-term program.
Right.
And it takes money, and that amount of money, right? That $250,000, it has to somehow help you identify the revenue that you're going to gain from those clients as well, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
That's why
one thing I picked up on a recent conversation that Chris and I had is when we're going through that process, that amount is, it's going to be, you're going to get some pushback or maybe an objection on that. Something we've learned is in the sales process, especially with ABM, it's a lot more detailed. So we're picking up on average value of a customer, the amount of leads that are coming in, the amount of percentage of leads that are converting. That way we can literally put together almost like a custom ROI calculator.
Yes.
Where when they see that amount and they're like, okay, we're going to generate this amount of estimated conversations based off of this rate. And then they had like that aha moment where they're like, okay, so
makes sense.
And that's the RevOps part, right? Yeah. Setting those metrics. And then all the sales ops, marketing ops, web ops are the programs that mess with those metrics. And so I really feel like there's just a lack of companies that are willing to speak to actual growth. And yes, we're well positioned for it since it's our name.
Well done, Chris.
Thankful to be. Thank you. I mean, yeah, it worked out great. We're the center of the HubSpot flywheel.
Yeah, I have a very, very simple translation to it. So it's like if you want to just date a girl who is just a couple of dates and so, minimum investment, or you want to date somebody you're going to marry, it's going to be investment, cinemas, movies, everything.
Yes.
Time and money and effort, everything, isn't it? It's a long-term project.
100%. And you can't, if a company was like, oh, we'll just do it ourselves. One, great. We've got lots of information. You literally can read everything. Yeah. And if you follow it all, you can. So please give it a shot.
Yes.
But you need more than one person. So our fee is $10,000 a month. And that includes 2 salespeople. It goes up with additional salespeople. And someone's like, well, I could hire somebody for less than $10,000 a month.
Okay.
Cool. But can you hire 6 people for $10,000?
Yeah. And that is the true benefit of working with an agency or a consultancy or a third party is that, okay, yes, it sounds like, oh, I could just pay someone to be here on my team, but that one person is not going to accomplish the same thing that an agency or consultancy can do because they're leveraging many people. Yeah. And that is the true difference between where you're spending that money and why it should be allocated towards a third party. I am a huge believer in having a lean team and outsourcing as much as possible because of that.
Yes,
yeah.
It makes 100% sense to me for obvious reasons. Like if you do it internally, you have to deal with all the other variables, right? People get sick, people get married, people leave jobs, you have to onboard, you have to onboard. I mean, what did I say? I don't know. Stuff happens, right? And you got to give them the time off. When you hire our company, we got to keep flying no matter
people
what.
Get married, they get sick.
They have a life.
It happens.
They take a nap.
I'm dealing with. I'm going through the marriage thing right now, and so it's time consuming, is what I'm trying to say. And
backpedaling.
All right,
I gotta go by. Sorry.
Yeah, honestly, my biggest rebuttal or response when people say we'll do it now is, why haven't you done it yourselves now? Like, why haven't you done it yet? And they're like, well, we don't have the resources, and I'm like, there you go.
Ding ding ding.
So it's
and there's a reason we go to $50 million and up companies. That the cost of this makes more sense because they put in the work to get to this position where they're doing $50 million a year. So they understand that a program that's a few $1,000s a month or has only a few moving parts can't work. Otherwise, they would have done it already.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're looking to, when we're doing our ABM outreach, we target VPs of sales and marketing, and then junior marketers as well. So to the junior marketers, we're like, is your boss giving you, hell about not generating leads? We understand. Here's a bunch of free resources. To their boss, it's like, hey, here's some things you can be teaching your staff to do so they can generate more leads. To the salesperson, it's like, here's how you keep marketing in check so that way you know that they're generating the right leads. Then they all end up in a meeting at some time and they're like, hey, have you seen this thing from Growth? And so it's like, how do you know Will? How do you know Chris? And it's like, ta-da, that's the magic.
All right, let me book that meeting. There you go.
Yeah. All right, we'll book a meeting with Will.
Well, this has been really educational, and for me, it's clearly no difference between, like saying I have 100 potential, obviously hot list here, and having maybe that only, I don't know, 8 to 10, from that 100, so not even that, so you really get very specific and obviously start to target and nourish that specific lead. So it's been absolutely educational.
Yeah.
Find the
Thank
common
you.
thread,
Thank
between those 100. The common thread, not the list. That's what makes them the same. Same
Yes.
industry, organization size, same problems, and that helps you focus in on your messaging, and that's where you get the success. Is that like attention to detail?
Yeah. Wow, that's great. That's been really good. I have a last question before obviously we wrap up, because obviously I'm out of time. What would you say besides, obviously if companies don't engage in ABM at the moment, and what would you say would be good, smart strategy to embrace in marketing of brand in 2023, in your own opinion?
Well, I think that if you are selling professional services or products to a specific company set, that the steps of ABM make a lot of sense, and you can start, inexpensively and slowly by using a tool like ZoomInfo or Apollo.io. You'll need that. Well, what's the phrase? The ideal customer profile. You'll need to start with that. So run that workshop internally. And that's the base for everything. At least you can start to generate a contact list and start using email engagement and phone calls. And, that's one channel, but that's a start. And at least that'll show signs of success, and then you can give us a call.
Okay.
And honestly, and it all starts with the foundation, which, we do bleed green and orange is HubSpot, because all that legwork you're doing, all those contacts you're generating have to go somewhere. And that's where it all starts there. So
it's so important. And I'm putting Growth's website up on the screen right now. But what is the best way to contact you all if someone has questions? Is it through the website, or is it one-to-one with you all?
Website's good. Everybody will get gated through Will for now. And then reaching out to him on LinkedIn is a win as well. There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Stay prepared.
Yeah.
It's my job.
It's like a nice hurdle. Like, make sure that you're going through the steps to contact us so we know you're serious.
Yeah.
Yes. No, that's so important. And, I know everything goes through Will first as far as those conversations, but this is Chris's LinkedIn information as well, in case you are interested in finding out more on a day-to-day basis about ABM. Chris said that's, he's really focused on talking about right now on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for more day-to-day education on that, connect with Chris. If you have specific questions about your business, if it's the right fit, working with them on ABM or any of the other incredible services that they provide, definitely reach out to Will.
Yes.
We're so grateful that you all took the time to, talk with us today. I know most of our episodes, we stick to about a half an hour, but we are changing our format a little bit more to be very tactical, educational, and provide how-tos and whys and help prospects and individuals and companies understand, okay, this is why I should do this, and how and when. And we've listened so much to you all as our audience over the last months. We're, on our 17, 18, 19th episode right now. And we've taken in a lot of feedback for what you want. So some of these episodes, like today, there are going to be longer because you've asked for specific things. So we're really blessed to be able to have you all take the time today to speak with everyone, to give advice, resources. After this episode is over, we will be including some resources in the comments as well as on our YouTube channel to ABM resources, growth resources that they provide in the comments and description, so that that's accessible to you anytime that you need. And if you have a brand or you're an individual that is also serving unrivaled brand experiences for your candidates, employees, prospects, or buyers, please reach out to Lagala or myself. You could always DM us, or we have links on our LinkedIn profiles where you could schedule time to speak with us. We'd love to share your experience and help the community around us. This is so helpful. Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah.
Highly recommend these two.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah,
been
our
so
pleasure.
much fun. Thank you.
All
So
right.
it sounds like it's gonna be great year 2023. Good luck with everything. We're
We
looking
made
forward
it.
to seeing your updates. Exactly.
Thanks for having us, and we'll keep growing better together. Shameless plug.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love it. All right,
Yes.
everyone have a
Thanks,
fantastic
everyone.
day.
Bye.